13. Good morning. I call the House Transportation Committee for March the 3rd to order. Chairman Howell is preoccupied. He will join us a little bit later, so you're stuck with me for now. Members, if you would, please sign in. Madam Clerk or Mr. Clerk, I'm not sure who's running the operation over there. Would you please take the roll? Where's Hawk at? You gonna get in? There we go.
Mr. Chairman, 15 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, are there any personal orders this morning? Representative Pearson.
Thank you so much, Chairman. A couple of things. One, just want to acknowledge the victims of the mass shooting yesterday in Austin. 3 people, including a shooter, were killed. And that community is grieving and mourning. And also, 6 service members have died since these attacks and this war on Iran has begun. Which obviously is impacting so many families in our community. And as a person who has loved ones who are in the armed forces, this is a terrifying time for a needless war, including and thinking of the 100+ girls who were killed at a school in Iran due to the bombings of our own country. And so just want to keep in mind all of those families that are being impacted, and also our service members and loved ones who are serving our nation right now too. Thank you.
Representative Todd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I certainly want to recognize our servicemen and women around the world who are defending our interests and standing up for freedom for those that have been under the thumb of Marxist ideology for so long, and also thankful for news outlets that will report the truth about the bombing that's already been mentioned, that actually was fire from Iran and a misfired missile that bombed that school, not friendly, not the allies. And so I appreciate the opportunity to get that on the record. Thank you.
Members, any other personal orders? Well, we have a calendar before us, House Bill 1706. Deputy Speaker Zachary, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment drafting code 14381.
We have a motion and a second. We don't have to vote. Yeah, we got that. We don't have to vote on that. Deputy Speaker, you are recognized to go ahead and explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this explains the bill. So I'll be glad to do that now if you'd like, or we put that amendment on.
Let's vote on that before we do that.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the amendment? Aye. All those opposed? Nays. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Deputy Speaker, you're recognized on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Members, the federal government, both Republicans and Democrats over the last couple of decades have put states in a very precarious position when it comes to illegal immigration. Fortunately, under the Trump administration, over the last 8 months, border crossings have stopped virtually to zero. So that leaves the states to deal with the issue that we have at hand today. Unfortunately, on January 30th, our state received a report from the DA's conference detailing the crime impact illegal immigration has had on Tennessee. And many know those numbers, so I won't go through those in detail, Mr. Chairman, but I think it is important to report that 11,344 illegals committed 21,648 crimes just in 2025. Unfortunately, that include 41 murders, 11 rapes of children, 452 aggravated assaults, 3,900 traffic violations, and 2,920 DUIs. So we as a legislature have a responsibility to protect the well-being of Tennesseans, preserve taxpayer resources for Tennesseans, and ensure that we're maximizing taxpayer dollars to the best we can. And so, Mr. Chairman and members, this piece of legislation addresses the safety aspect for Tennesseans. Many have seen the terrible accidents that have been committed and caused by illegals with CDLs over the last couple of months. In fact, just since I presented this bill 2 weeks ago, Mr. Chairman and members, there has been a deadly crash in Indiana where an illegal with a CDL ran a red light and caused a fatality. 4 days ago in Missouri, an illegal with a CDL was filmed going the wrong way for up to 5 miles. He received that CDL from Minnesota. And then just 3 days ago, same situation, State Route 29 in Ohio, an illegal in a semi was filmed also going the wrong way. I have a list. I'm not going to bore the committee with this. I have a list of the 25 most egregious accidents caused by illegals with CDLs that occurred just in the second half of 2025. But something I do want to point out, Mr. Chairman and members, I have a list of 10 accidents caused by illegals with CDLs that resulted in fatalities just in the last 6 months of 2025. And unfortunately, one of those happened here in Tennessee in Putnam County on December 9th. An illegal with a CDL caused an accident that resulted in a fatality. And it's reported that illegal could not read the signs, nor could he speak English. So, Mr. Chairman and members, we find ourselves in a position, again, where the state has to address this issue. And so it is already a violation of federal law to give an illegal with a CDL. So here in Tennessee, we are going to reinforce that by creating a misdemeanor if you are an illegal with CDL and you are come in contact with law enforcement. If you're an illegal, then you will immediately be turned over via 287G. You'll be turned over to ICE for processing with them. If you're not part of 287G, then you'll be turned over to the Centralized Immigration Enforcement Division of the state. A couple other things, Mr. Chairman, I'll be done that this bill does. It provides a private right of action to any Tennessean that is injured or suffers property damage by an illegal with a CDL. It also allows you to go after the employer that hired that person, as well as the state that issued that illegal to the CDL. And remember, it is already a federal violation of federal law to do that. So I'm thankful for President Trump in his State of the Union. He called this out specifically, asking Congress to act. We all know whether it's a Republican or Democrat, trying to get Congress to do just about anything is very difficult. So we as the state are going to take that mantle, and we're going to address this and ensure the safety of our highways and byways from illegals with CDLs. The product that you have before you, we have worked Trucker Association, insurance companies, all the stakeholders have been involved and been very supportive, and we've made some tweaks along the way. And so what you have in front of you is that final product, Mr. Chairman. So with that, I stand ready for questions.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Zachary, for that detailed explanation. Are there any questions from our members? Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. And I've got a few thoughts and questions. One, I think referring to people as illegals is dehumanizing. Illegal may be an action, but it is not a person. And these are human beings who may be undocumented, but they deserve the respect and dignity of being people. And every time you use that language, it is an attempt for us to view them differently than who they are, which is still beloved children of God. And I resent the way that you continue to misuse that word and that terminology. The statistics met out the truth, which is people who are not native born still commit crimes at a lower level than people who are native born. And no matter how many times we repeat these anti-immigrant tirades on behalf of Stephen Miller and this administration, those statistics from Stanford will remain true. And the truth is, this legislation does nothing to feed kids, does nothing to fix the affordability crisis that my constituents are dealing with. It does nothing to help our state in a lot of the ways that we need, as the prices of things are going up, as our budget is out $6 billion, $5 billion because of the bill that was passed by this administration and Congress. And so let's just be honest. This again is another piece of legislation that is to divide us, to separate us, to have us target immigrant communities. And it is rooted in hatred, in bigotry that I think is a painful example of the misuse and abuse of power in our state. There are three things that I question in this legislation with your amendment 014381. It is an offense for a direct employer to knowingly employ and allow a person unlawfully present in the United States to operate a commercial motor vehicle in this state. Didn't you just say that federal law already has this as an offense? Is that correct?
Deputy Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me first address your comments. So when someone comes into this country illegally, they are illegally here. And so what we're doing with this legislation, even for your constituents, is this legislation is about protecting Tennesseans. You may choose to stand with illegal immigrants over your constituents, but we, as the Republican caucus, we're going to stand with the people of the state. We're going to stand and ensure that the safety and well-being of Tennesseans is our top priority. That may not be your top priority, but that's going to be our top priority. And that's exactly what this legislation does. Because when you allow illegals with CDLs to drive in this country, it makes our country unsafe. And it is a violation of federal law to give an illegal CDL. And according to reports, up to 19 states are in violation of that federal law. And so we find ourselves in a position as a state where we have to address that when illegals are here, and 11,344 illegals commit over 21,000 crimes in the state. You may not like the statistic, but it is a fact. Roughly 2% of the population in Tennessee are illegals, and they commit over 4% of the crimes. And again, 41 deaths were committed by illegals last year. One is too many. 41 is egregious. We as a Republican caucus, and we hope some of our colleagues on the other side will join us, are going to take the steps necessary to protect our highways, protect your constituents and my constituents from illegals with CDLs who, I can read you the report, I'll be glad to, for all 25, that simply say that every one of these reports, and I do have this here, Mr. Chairman, I can even submit this to the committee, that every one of these accidents were caused by illegal CDLs who could not speak good English and could not read the signs. So again, because of the failure of the federal government for decades, your party and mine, we as a state are left to pick up the pieces, and that's exactly what we're doing with these pieces of legislation.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Deputy Speaker, will you answer my question?
Deputy Speaker, you're recognized.
I answered it.
Representative Pearson, you have follow-up?
I do. I said, right now, under federal law, what you are writing here, that it is an offense for a direct employer to knowingly employ or allow a person unlawfully present in the United States to operate a commercial vehicle. This is already the law, correct?
Deputy Speaker, you're recognized.
And I stated that 19 different states are violating federal law now. And so we as a state are making our statute clear that it is a breaking the law if you're an illegal with CDL and you drive in the state of Tennessee.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. How many people who are undocumented in our state did you get from the Tennessee Department of Transportation or whomever currently have a CDL?
Deputy Speaker, you're recognized.
That we don't have that number. This is about protecting our state and
Thank
ensuring.
you for answering the
This
question.
is about, I don't think you were recognized
A
yet. This is
law-
about us protecting our state
Yeah.
from the 19
Representative
states,
Pearson.
which are
Thank you, Chairman.
Democrat states
A law
that
enforcement
provide
officer.
illegals to CDLs.
Turn his microphone off. Representative Pearson, we're not going to have a running debate. You will be recognized and you will be able to ask your question or your comment, and then the bill presenter will be able to respond to that. But we're not going to have a running debate here. Deputy Speaker, you're recognized if you want to finish your comment.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. It says a law enforcement officer who arrests a person for a violation of subdivision B2 shall notify the law enforcement agency of the arrest, and the agency shall ensure the federal immigration authorities are notified either through the agency's participation in 287G or pursuant to the Immigration and Nationality Act. Is this If our locality does not have, any of us don't have a 287G program, this is mandating that that law enforcement officer now, in essence, take on the form of immigration enforcement. Am I understanding that correctly?
Deputy Speaker, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It will require them, if they do not have 287G, that they transfer and inform that they transfer and contact centralized immigration enforcement, which is a division of the state, if they are not participating in 287G.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized for follow-up.
Thank you so much. And so I'm just thinking about that, potentially adding and making our local law enforcement participate, even if their locality has not agreed to do a 287G program, is forcing them to be a part of some immigration enforcement. And then I think my last question is actually to legal, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Deputy Speaker, do you want to respond?
No, his question was to legal, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
You want to go? You want to answer that question? Representative Pearson, you want to repeat your question, then we'll go out of session to let legal address that question.
Thank you. This is just page 3 here. It says, notwithstanding any other law, the law of this state applies to any tort action arising out of an unlawfully present person's operation of a commercial motor vehicle in the state, notwithstanding any other law, any contractual choice of law provision. Could you talk about what this contractual choice of law provision means?
We're going to go out of session.
Joel Hayes, Office of Legal Services. It is possible that essentially what a contractual choice of law provision is, that in a contract and agreement between two parties, that they can stipulate which state's law would oversee and apply to that dispute. Mm-hmm. And so essentially what this is saying is that regardless of a provision in a contract, that that would not apply in such a case.
Representative Pearson, that was answering your question.
Okay, so it's just saying this law, our state law, would be
Well,
supersede any agreement we'd have with other states.
Correct. That Tennessee law would overrule or, basically supersede any choice of law provision in a contract.
Okay,
That's your question.
that answers the question. Mr. Chairman, I have one last question to the sponsor, one last comment, then I'm done.
We're back in session. Deputy Speaker, or I apologize, Representative Pearson, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chairman. Deputy Speaker, for people who are undocumented in the state of Tennessee, when they go to the grocery store, when they buy or purchase things, do they have to pay taxes on that?
Deputy Speaker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll leave that to the Finance Committee and other committees. This piece of legislation is related to illegals with CDLs and ensuring the protection of our highways and protecting our state from the 19 states who have illegally given driver's license or CDLs to illegals.
Representative Pearson, one last follow-up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I think what has been made plainly clear is this is a messaging bill of division in our state house, and we are being used as puppets of this administration to perpetuate policies that we don't even have statistics from our own Tennessee Department of Transportation that this is a need. What I think is really challenging for me, because in my district, we deal with high incidence of mortalities due to a lot of accidents and car accidents, that there's other legislation I think that we should be prioritizing. But this is really continuing to dehumanize people. It is not a real problem. It's to allow for people to have a few minutes to degrade and to demean people who are undocumented. And I don't think that's what we should be doing as a state. The people who are undocumented, their taxes that they do pay actually help fund this state. There's no opting out of the taxes that allow for our state to continue to operate and to function. And so all of this mean and hate-filled language, I think it is an embarrassment on us and as a state, and it's antithetical to many of the beliefs that many of us have said that we hold. And so that's why I won't vote for this legislation, why I think the legislation as it is written is harmful and dangerous for us as a state as well, and unnecessary, as you articulated yourself, because federal law already takes care of this, and there's not a single incident that you could mention where the state of Tennessee has given anyone who's undocumented a CDL. And so it's ultimately wasting our time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Deputy Speaker, do you want to respond to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think the representative is missing the point because we don't allow illegals with CDLs to have illegals in Tennessee to have CDLs. We don't allow that. That's why we don't have the data. But we're making sure putting that in code that is clear, and then it becomes a misdemeanor if that's the case. And I think it's insulting to the victims of crimes in our state when I literally just listed out in Putnam County, a family lost a loved one in Putnam County because an illegal with CDL was driving in our state. And I do have 10 incidents that I have listed here starting in June that I'll go through these quickly, Mr. Chairman. Alabama, Texas, California, Florida, Alabama, Oregon, Tennessee, Washington, and Indiana where an illegal with a CDL in the last 6 months has killed somebody. So to say that it's not a problem, I actually have the data to support that, to say it is. Now, you may choose not to believe the data, and I guess that's your perspective, but the DA's conference has made it abundantly clear. And then these various sources, which are all credible news sources, have reported that it is a significant issue. And again, just since I presented this bill a couple of weeks ago, we've already had an additional death, and we have had 2 reckless endangerment situations where illegals, neither one could read the signs that got on interstates going the wrong way. I can assure you it's a significant issue. And many times it's left up to red states to pick up the pieces when blue states are not adhering to federal law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Todd, you were recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sponsor, I appreciate you using the term illegal in your presentation to save some time. You're cutting out the word alien. In federal law, that is an appropriate term. That is an exact term that's used in specifically in U.S. Code 8 U.S. Code 1365 A and B. Illegal alien is specifically used, and I appreciate you using those terms to be accurate. And we get that gets thrown around as being twisted, and we flower that up to make it sound better with other feel-good words, but that is strictly what is going on. And I've even talked to attorneys that have made the statement that it's only a civil matter if they're here illegally, and that is not the case. That specific code says they are here as a criminal once they break into this country. So I appreciate you addressing it in this manner. I like the things that you have built in here where even the detail of the employer's liability policy cannot be used to cover this. So I think this is a really good piece of legislation that has some really good teeth in it. So thank you for bringing it.
Representative Russell, you were recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank the sponsor for bringing this legislation. We got some states issuing license to people that can't speak English, and that's happening. We see it on the news all the time. Where it hit home for me is Highway 68 across Cocoa Creek Mountain in Monroe County, Tennessee. Back in the winter of 2024, spring of 2025, we had a bunch of commercial vehicle crashes. And the police officers would go up there and the sheriff's deputies would try to communicate with the truck drivers, and they can't speak English and communicate with them. Troopers would get there and they couldn't understand them. And then about, I think 6 months before that, maybe 8 months, we had a driver's license employee up in Knoxville selling driver's license to people that was not supposed to have a commercial driver's license for $2,500. So this is a good checks and balances for that. So glad to support your bill, and good work.
Representative Hawk, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. We all represent 75,000 people in our districts, and we are to speak for them and on behalf of them. Overwhelmingly, the folks in my district and many districts across Tennessee support what you're doing. I agree that language does matter. Actions matter just as much or more so. And what you have described in the incidences is quite startling, and where our citizens have been put in harm's way because of these actions is why we're doing this legislation. No one is telling us. No one's coming to the state of Tennessee. We're not anyone's lapdog in this situation. This is being done by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. I applaud the effort. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Representative McCalman, you were recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question has been called. We have 3 objections. We'll put that on the board. Madam Clerk, would you put previous question on the board? If you are for previous question, please vote aye. If you are against it, please vote no. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes, 3 noes, and 0 present not voting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion on is amended. Madam Clerk, would you open the board? Please. There you go. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll or take the vote?
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 2 noes, and 0 voting.
House Bill, House Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee.
House Bill 1708 will be rolled 1 week. Appreciate y'all's enthusiasm. House Bill 1457 by Representative Bulso will be rolled 2 weeks. Let's see. House Bill 2356 by Chairman Howe. Chairman Howe, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do apologize for my late arrival. I was presenting a bill in another committee, and it took a little while, but appreciate my Vice Chairman doing an outstanding job in handling this committee. You're in good hands. House Bill 2356, members in...
Chairman, I believe you got an amendment on that bill.
Amendment, yes. Let's add that on, if you don't mind.
We have a motion and a second.
And the number that I have is 14424, Chairman.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. All those in favor of adding this amendment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Your amendment is attached. Mr. Chairman, you are recognized on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, in 2019, this General Assembly passed legislation allowing local school systems to put video cameras on the outside of their school buses. And this was, of course, a safety measure designed to prevent drivers or to catch drivers who were violating the law and passing a stopped school bus with the stop arm out and the flashing lights on. In January 1st, beginning January 1st of this year, school district in my area, Cleveland City Schools, decided to do a pilot program to see if this would be an effective measure before they actually approved it. So they put cameras on 5 buses out of about 15. And they ran a test for an entire month, and it was astounding the numbers that they had. Each of those 5 buses registered 3 violations per day per bus. That's 15 violations a day on 5 buses. Wow. So because of that, they started issuing, instead of warnings, started issuing citations in beginning of February. And the numbers are so large that the SROs and local law enforcement just doesn't have the staff to review each one of these videos. So what this bill does is simply what other states have done, and that is allow school safety personnel to be added to the list of those who can view those videos and determine that a violation occurred and then send that information to the courts. That's what the bill does, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that detailed explanation. Members, got any questions? Representative McCalman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Howell, thank you for bringing this bill. That is it touches a subject matter that's near and dear to my heart. I've got 3 kids in school, and I'm just down the street from my house this week. There's somebody blew right past that school bus with his red lights on. So I think this is going to save some kids' lives. So thank you for bringing it.
Thank you.
Representative Towns, you are recognized.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Chairman Howell, did you all include any statistic that indicated that how many people were hurt as a result of them running those bus stop signs, so to speak? Did you get any numbers on that?
Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
The data that I received, Representative Towns, did not include that. Okay. However, a positive note, the data did include the number of people who did not get a second offense. Those who got a citation the first time, 90% of those did not create a repeat offense. Okay. So that's very helpful, and I think this is a good program.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Towns, you got to follow up?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any Representative Ashley, you're recognized.
Move previous question.
Is there any objection? All right, we will be voting on House Bill 2356. Madam Clerk, would you open the board, please? Everybody voted? Okay. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes, 0 noes, and 0 present not voting.
Thank you. House Bill 2356 moves on to calendar and rules. That would be it for our calendar today. We have a presentation from the Tennessee Aviation Association. So folks that are presenting, if you will take a chair, we will turn your microphone on for you and introduce yourself after you sit down, and I will take us out of session. Whichever one would like to start.
I'm Dean Selby. I'm the Vice President of the Tennessee Aviation Association and the Executive Director of the Upper Cumberland Regional Airport.
Hello, I'm Chad Gerke. I'm the Secretary for the Tennessee Aviation Association, and I also serve as the Airport Director for the City of Murfreesboro at the Murfreesboro Municipal Airport.
Y'all are recognized to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the Transportation Committee, thank you for the opportunity to present this brief overview of the economic impact and resultant needs of Tennessee's airport systems. When we consider Tennessee's system of airports, it is easy to recognize the tremendous impacts of our commercial service airports have on people's quality of life in the state. Nashville International, for example, is one of the fastest growing and consistently recognized as one of the highest rated large hub airports in the country. Those of us in general aviation airport management are extremely proud of the leadership demonstrated by Tennessee's 5 commercial service airports, 6 counting the recent milestone of Jackson reaching primary status, and the role they play in driving economic growth. That said, the rural general aviation airports across Tennessee play an essential role in connecting our communities to the rest of the nation and the world. Their contribution to the state's economic engine is often overlooked. Governor Bill Lee has consistently emphasized that rural Tennessee would help carry our state into the next economic expansion. That vision is not theoretical. It is actively unfolding across our communities. As Tennessee's economy has evolved from primarily a local base to one with national and international reach, our airports and enabling that transformation. They provide what makes Tennessee exceptional. Our business, our natural resources, and most importantly, our people. This trend is particularly impactful on the quality of the life of those in our rural communities. As a manager of one of the state's larger general aviation airports, I can attest that companies from outside Tennessee frequently contact local GA airports before making relocation decisions. They want assurance that the airport can support the type of aircraft they operate and provide what they require. The executives leading these organizations do not arrive by car. They arrive by aircraft, often on private corporate jets at airports with immediate access outside of urban areas. This trend accelerated significantly in the post-COVID economy and continues today. It would be impractical for every flight student to train in general aviation airports pick up most of that responsibility. Statistics shows that the mean wage of a pilot, co-pilot, or flight of $250,000. This is a very lucrative career option, is only achieved after a student has logged hundreds or thousands of hours of practice in large part at general aviation airports. General aviation airports play a vital role in access to medical transport, fire support, police operation, and connect rural communities to response and support services in the face of natural disasters. This role was pronounced during the response to Hurricane Helene in the eastern part of the state. In a moment, my colleague will address the funding challenges necessary to maintain our general aviation airports in a state of good repair, necessary to support the aforementioned roles. The state of Tennessee and its legislative body have worked diligently to attract larger and more diverse business investment. Those efforts are clearly paying dividends across the state. However, as this business activity and the need for additional pilots increases, so too does the demand placed on airport infrastructure through higher aircraft traffic counts, resulting in the need for additional ramp space, expanded terminal facilities, and the rising cost of state of good repair. At the same time usage is increasing, funding to support the maintenance on aviation infrastructure has declined, all while facing record increases in cost. If this trajectory continues, we risk reaching or may already be approaching a point where inadequate investment begins to negatively affect business travel, airport utilization, and the ability to attract new business due to a deteriorating system. As I turn the floor over to Mr. Chad Gerke to discuss the financial needs of Tennessee General Aviation Airports, I respectfully urge you to remember that our airports are a critical component of the state's transportation infrastructure. They serve professionals considering investment in those areas. We cannot afford to make a strong first impression. Thank you for your time.
Chairman Howell and Vice Chair Butler and members of the House Transportation. Since 2015, the Tennessee Aviation Association has been working with the Tennessee Aeronautics Division, our 76 airports, and their governing bodies, and working diligently to adapt to the changing levels of state airport funding. During the same time, many of you have worked on creating, and your predecessors, on new methods of funding improvements of our system of airports without relying on aviation fuel tax. The greatest stride, I believe, has occurred with the Tennessee Airport Economic Impact Study completed in 2019. That was commissioned by the Tennessee Aeronautics Division and completed by Kimberly Horn. It was the first time all stakeholders in our state system of airports had before us a collection of excellent economic data and provided everyone the financial impact of all of our airports across the state and of the transportation system as a whole. With that information at hand, the Tennessee Aeronautics Division, working with our Tennessee Aeronautics Commission, input from our consultants, and from our airport managers from across the state, they were able to create a ranking system for the airport. This priority ranking system is in line with our ranking system, where the security and safety are the highest ranking priority. The system is in line with our Tennessee Department of Transportation and how they manage our roads and highways with a focus on state of good repair. A great staff is spent each year going to every, and in that we discuss with our consultants the airport capital improvement plans, as well as taking note and of our approaches into each of our airports. From that information, it is noted that our average age of our pavement on our airports across Tennessee is 20 years old. It is reaching its end of life cycle. Seal coats and crack repair will only extend the life of those pavements. The Aeronautics Division conducted this last year a needs-based approach and divided the projects that they have each year from all of our airports into two categories: state of good repair and capacity and enhancement. State of good repair being pavement repair and rehabilitation, approach clearing, and installation and replacement of security fencing. In this approach, Aeronautics determined that the funding gap to address just state of good repair was $77 million of state funding. Along with the $18 million that we received from the federal government and the local share, the airport and their governing body, this would allow for 123 state of good repair projects to be completed at around 56 of our airports in this coming fiscal year. This does not include any capacity or enhancement projects such as runway extensions, extensions of our ramp, fuel farms, hangar construction, or terminals, just state of good repair. Last year, the state of Tennessee in the FY26 state budget provided a total of $68 million with the reoccurring budget line for general aviation airports, the supplemental budget, and direct appropriations provided to Pacific Airport projects. This funding level proposed or requested for $77 million is an addition of $9 million over last year's budget. One thing to keep in mind is that within the $23 million that is the reoccurring line item for general aviation, that funding is not just for projects. It also covers the operational costs of the Tennessee Division of Aeronautics. So after salaries, expenses, and programs comes the money for state of good repair. Another point that I believe you need to know as well is that the state budget identifies the federal money that's coming in, as well as the state funding. But what else is missing is the local share. And it does not identify what the local airport and their respective communities and governing bodies are including in their budgets to fund and assist with these improvements. Like other state grants, many of our communities are also assisting with up to 20, 40, or 50% of the cost of these projects. In some cases, they may take on the project 100% on their own. That is rare, but it does occur to get those projects moving. This helps that airport in the priority ranking system and is usually conducted at airports that have high volumes of traffic and generating revenue at some level or approaching self-sufficiency. That does not occur at every airport. Some airports may not have a great deal of operations, but the service of that airport to the community or an industry is critical not only to that community, but our state economy. Ideally, what would be of wonderful assistance for the planning and budgeting process is that the annual reoccurring budget line item of airports be increased. For general aviation airports, increasing the annual reoccurring budget from 23 million to 50 million would help tremendously. Like other transportation projects across our state that rely on coordination with the federal government, it takes years for these projects to be approved and then finally completed. The Tennessee Aviation Association believes the Tennessee Aeronautics Division, the Tennessee Airports Commission, and the local communities could operate much more efficiently and effectively, even greater stewards of the funds if they had a consistent reoccurring budget line item of 50 million, which reflects the cost of construction these days and increases to the aeronautics operating expenses and programs. From a state of return perspective, the state's investment in the system of airports is incredibly beneficial. From the 2019 Tennessee Aeronautics Airports Economic Impact, we learned that from our air carriers, $40 billion is generated each year. Our air cargo operations, $19 billion. From our 71 general aviation airports, $1 billion is generated, providing quick, and those general aviations, as Dean said, provide quick, reliable access to nearly every area, industry, and community of people in this great state. A new Tennessee Economics Impact Study is coming out this fall, and I have a feeling it'll be even more positive numbers for us. So our request is to continue our communication together, to work together to fund that gap. Again, that gap was identified by our Tennessee Aeronautics Division of around $77 million. Again, the reoccurring costs, the reoccurring line item in the budget for general aviation, if that could be increased to 50 million annually, would provide a tremendous assistance to all the stakeholders, creating new opportunities for improved efficiency in maintaining this great system of airports. And I hope our goal in the end then is at some point to be able to discuss improvements such as runway extensions, job creation, terminal improvements, and things like that across the state. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. And if I may take a little personal privilege, I did get my pilot's license about 20 years ago at Livingston Airport, 8 Alpha 3, about 20 years ago. So I do appreciate the general aviation, what they do for our state. Members, do we have any comments? Representative Bain, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for being here today. Just a quick comment before my statement and question. So the reason that we don't have aviation fuel tax anymore is because FedEx lobbied itself out of paying fuel taxes. And remember that our own Department of Revenue showed that 24% of corporations with income over $1 billion paid zero in our state income tax. Much of our fiscal woes could be addressed by making corporations pay what they owe, just like the rest of us, instead of forcing associations like yours to come grovel every year to the Tennessee General Assembly. That is not my question. As you know, Tennessee is currently engaged in active litigation over the governance of Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority. At the same time, Republican leadership is advancing a bill that would make a statutory change affecting airport authorities statewide. This bill vacates and reconstitutes every existing metropolitan and regional airport authority board in the state. It shifts appointment power dramatically towards state officials. It alters removal authority, it adds new reporting requirements, and it requires airport authorities to pay the state for auditing and review. Were you all aware that this bill was making its way through the General Assembly?
Yes, we did read about that, yes.
And are you for or against it?
Most of our representatives are city or county governed airports. Very few, I think, will be affected by that as far as the general aviation airports.
But do you believe associations like yours should have some independent oversight, independent of state and local government?
Well, may I interject something there, Representative Bain? I believe they represent general aviation and not Nashville or Chattanooga or any of the big airports.
Yeah. Understood, but
They are still partners of ours. We still partner with the commercial service airports for a lot of the business and impact that we have around the country, and have been great supporters of ours. But as far as the governance structure, that's kind of really outside of the lane of what we work with. Most of our general aviation airports, as Chad mentioned, are city or county owned or board ran with intergovernmental ties, and that really is not something that would affect us that much. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't understand the bill enough to know how it will impact the entire system. And until I would know it, I would not take a stand on it until I understand it better. And I do plan on getting with our representatives and senators to try to at least understand it, because we are all in transportation and we want to understand how it will impact the entire multimodal system, not just those airports.
understood, yes. Just a flag that it's a slippery slope until they come after you also. Thank you.
Chairman Howell, you were recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here. I was just thinking about, I believe if I heard you right, the 71 GA airports impact the economy. 71, your 71 airports impact the economy by $1 billion a year, and you're asking for 50 million.
That's correct.
Dang, that's a good return on investment. Where can I sign up for that? I'd like to sign up for that. You do a great job. We have a wonderful GA airport in Bradley County in Cleveland, and they do a great job. And you're right, the businesses, industries, they want to know, do you have an airport that will serve their needs? And we have in our new airport, fairly new, it's about 10 years old. We have a conference room where many times the CEOs of an industry that may be based somewhere else fly into Cleveland to confer with the local factory employees. They'll meet at the airport conference room and take off and go back home. It really does impact the economy locally, and appreciate what you guys do. I do have a question, and you may not know the answer, but I understand the GA airport in Jacksonville is just almost on the verge of becoming a commercial airport. Is that in Jackson, Tennessee?
Yes, they did receive a contract with Denver Air, and I believe their passengers' numbers are up to consider them back to the air carrier status airport.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Well, this shows what can happen when the economy grows. It lifts all boats. So thank you again for being here. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Representative Towns, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, thank you for your presentation. Obviously, we know how just vital airports are to our country, to our state and our city. You know, appreciate you making the presentation. Kind of lay, excuse me, some of those things out. In the current geopolitical conflict in the world today, does that impact you all in our other airports in the state of Tennessee, or will it?
Not right now. Most of our general aviation airport, the only time that TSA is involved is the air carrier. That there, you might see some change there, or some change in service there, or quality of service there. But general aviation kind of operates by different rules, so we hope not to see anything from our current situations.
I would expand on that a little bit and say that for us and the larger GA airports, we do when we pay attention to what's happening in the world and in the country, and when something is going on, we do step up our perimeter patrols and surveillance of our camera systems, and just kind of keep a better eye out for anything that's out of the norm. So not to an extent where we would change a lot of stuff, but we have an increased police presence and some stuff like that from time to time. So,
well, that is absolutely to be assumed that that would happen. You comprehensively overlook everything and see what you're doing. But where I was going actually is with the change of oil and price of that nature. How long can you all go without filling the oil change price? Just curious.
We will change our prices. We serve not only as the airport managers, but oftentimes we are the FBO as well. So we're in the business of selling the fuel to the aircraft owners. So we are adjusting our fuel prices to reflect whatever the purchase price is for us to continue to make our revenue to support the airport. So as those prices go up, so will the price at the pump.
So you will purchase fuel at a higher price, is what you're telling me, right? And then you have to pass it on, obviously, and then eventually we all eat it as consumers, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So it will impact where, if it goes long, if we have any kind of protracted conflict in the world, that's impacting oil, it can
Yes.
eventually get to us. So my question, and you may or may not know the answer, how long do you think we could go without it? Months, without impacting what it is you do? 2 months, weeks, or a year, or what?
I would say for us,
What's
if
your
we
reserves?
see, I
No,
apologize.
you're fine, sir. You're
If,
fine.
when we see major changes in fuel prices, I've been there for 9 years now, and Chad's
Okay.
been doing this for many, many years. When we see major fuel prices, there's a few months before we see a decrease in travel because of it.
Okay.
There is a delay. People will absorb it for a little while, and then if it stays consistently high, we will begin to see a reduction, a little
We-
bit of a reduction.
We never shut down during COVID or 9/11. I mean, there was no operations, but
Thank you. Now, would the same be applicable to FedEx and Nashville, those airlines and some of the others, the majors across the state?
I would tend to say that's kind of the same answer that we gave earlier, that's a little bit outside of
Okay.
what our specialization is,
Okay.
and I can't really honestly answer that
I
with.
appreciate it. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Hawk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And gentlemen, thank you for being here. I think your presentation to us reminds us that the purview of this committee is dealing with how people, good services traverse our roads, air, water, all the different modes of getting people from point A to point B, as well as products and services from point A to point B. So it's duly noted. I really appreciate that. What I heard loudly and clearly was a recurring stream of revenue, a desire to have a recurring stream of revenue. And I think we've got some opportunities as we are experiencing good financial times to create those recurring streams of revenue. So I certainly support what you're trying to do, and we'll work with our general aviation airports to get there. Thank you very much, Chairman and members.
Speaker Marsh, you're represented.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chad, I'd like to ask you about the Murfreesboro Airport. I know that MTSU is moving their Aeronautics Academy down to our Shelbyville Airport, and we're excited about that. What does that mean for you and your airport? Are you glad or sad or indifferent?
It's a mixed emotions. I'm an alumni of the MTSU Aerospace Department, and as a City of Murfreesboro employee, I also advocated for MTSU and the Aerospace Department for over 31 years now there in as my stay as the airport director. It's a change in relationship there. They'll still have some aircraft that are going to continue to be based at Murfreesboro. Our neighbors think that they may never see an MTSU plane again over the skies of Murfreesboro, and I remind them that is probably not an expectation that will be successful, that they will continue to fly into Murfreesboro. Our challenge now is a different level of service, from heavy flight training to more business. And what we've been seeing in our operations is they have been shifting to Shelbyville as their numbers have decreased. They're less than 50% of our traffic now. Other types of operators have come in to Murfreesboro. So we are working towards, right now, we've been approved in the Federal Contract Tower Program, and we'll be identifying the location and height of that this May, and moving in to continue to work towards that business demand that we have at Murfreesboro. But we will continue to support MTSU and the Aerospace Department, and be glad for them to land here at Murfreesboro, and wish them the very best. Some beautiful facilities that they are going to be building at Shelbyville, and I'm very proud as an alumni that those improvements are being made for that program.
Thank you.
And if I may, I would like to say that MTSU has an impact not just locally, but across the state. We see multiple operations a day, even as far out as we are from MTSU. So they're impacting the airports across the state, not just those local ones. And we appreciate their partnership and their attention to the airports of the state.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any comments or questions? Representative Sherrill, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. I do want to say I've missed part of it by going to other meetings, but appreciate both of you being here, and I'm glad you could come. And as Representative Howell has give you permission to share with us today the need that y'all have in our airports, and as we talked earlier, and I know that Dean is over the Upper Cumberland Airport, which is Putnam in White County. And I just like to say to all the members, he has done a great job with the airport up there in our area, and what they stand for and what they do for us in our great state of Tennessee. I think it's wisely that we support our airports, and very much. Thank you for the opportunity today to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Representative Vital, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation today. I think on behalf of Hamilton County, we appreciate the commercial airport we have and the investments made there, but also on the general aviation side in Collegedale, we appreciate the investments that have been made there, the enhancements, the additional usage by private pilots of that airport because of the busy traffic at Chattanooga. I just wanted to touch on the subject of aircraft training mechanics and what's being done in that area as we see that pipeline need to be developed, what's being done in relationship to our TBR and community colleges across the state.
If I may, I'd speak on that, Chad, a little bit. I just recently had a meeting with TCAT. We were discussing the possibility of bringing a maintenance school into our airport. We currently partner with Motlow State. They do some of the, they're moving into a flight training program there. They really don't have a maintenance program, but you're correct in identifying that that's a major shortcoming in the system is not enough mechanics. We've saw the pilot crisis over the last few years, and not enough pilots to fill the slots, and resulting in cancellations and other things. But you are correct in identifying that the coming maintenance shortcoming is huge, and I think that's something that we need to focus on is training some of our young people in the maintenance field. That's going to be a big career field coming forward.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of emphasis placed on pilot training, but mechanics and the service and support, since regular service is necessary, and I think that TCAT is a great place for that. So thank you.
Representative Towns, I don't know if you were volunteering to be a mechanic or you want to be recognized.
Wherever the money is, baby. Wherever the money is. Look, full disclosure, Mr. Chairman, I'm a former FedEx manager, and years ago, okay, I helped some of the young people that were there become aircraft mechanics. Now, I don't know if you all know this or not. I hope you do. What is the salary today of aircraft mechanics?
It's a pretty broad range from what I've seen. It depends on which service you're in, but it's north of 100 for most of the professional aircraft mechanics. If you're in GA, perhaps not as much, but I do know that it's a very lucrative career option and is only continuing to increase.
So let me tell you this. There were people that lived in California, Mr. Chairman, and they worked in Memphis, Tennessee. They were aircraft mechanics. They were that valuable. They flew in every night and they flew back home. Okay. That's been 25 years ago or longer, but they were making over $100,000, far more over $100,000 than then. One of the things that we must do is you got to get before your young people and they got to know what the job pays. They're looking at folks in shirt and ties and this, that, and other. Okay. Pipe fitters, we having a problem. Plumbers, aircraft mechanic. I mean, the nuts and bolts that make the country run, but they're not taught this in school. It's go to school, go to college, okay, get that kind of job. But this is far more lucrative in many of our areas of the country. If we just got to train them, and then they got to know what these, like career days, they got to know what these jobs do and what they pay. So we may need to look at having some relationship with the schools, career days that bring these guys and ladies in to talk to the young people about what this career actually presents to them. The aircraft mechanic can work anywhere in the world. That's true. Country can work anywhere in the world. Okay, so I think we may need to think outside the box a little bit and figure out how we can get that at the top of the agenda on the totem pole so young people can kind of see what's out there, exposure, possibilities.
One of my favorite parts of the job is that occasionally I get to bring school kids to the airport and provide that career opportunity. Aviation is such a strange industry. And we talk about not only being pilots, but the importance of being a mechanic, or we're also needing air traffic controllers, a huge need too.
Absolutely.
There's all these other positions in aviation that you get to be a part of this industry, and it's lucrative and it's a rewarding industry. So we try to plant that seed really early as soon as we can.
That's excellent. But what I really also like to see is you and those who are in your profession go to the school and talk to 500 or 1,000 at one time.
Yeah.
It's a really slower process. We're going to be in trouble if we don't do it. We got to have the people. We got to have the young people trained to do it. So you got to go and deal with the masses and try to get as many of them as you can and indoctrinate, begin to look at this particular area. We need them by the thousands. That's in Tennessee.
One of the programs that the Tennessee Aeronautics Division does is aviation in the schools. So many of our high schools are setting up some of those programs. Some of them are pilot training, but some of them are too getting into the mechanical part of it too. So really getting into them as they get into junior high and high school, and they're looking for that career. They're looking at the possibilities of what they may be paid. It's hitting into high schools, and that's an initiative that they're undertaking at this time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And also, if I might add, I think that one of the things that a lot of the airports are doing, we've been doing it recently, is the work-based learning programs through the high schools. We've supported students from Putnam County, White County, Overton County, and several of the other surrounding counties who have asked for to send 2 to 4 students out at a time to actually spend several months working in the airport environment, trying to understand it. And I think that outreach needs to be expanded to more and more airports across the state. But I think you're onto something with that.
Any other comments from our committee? We appreciate y'all being here today, taking the time to come and present today. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you all.
We'll go back into session. And we have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you. Well, thank you.